Madam Chair, it looks like we have a quorum and I have started the YouTube live stream.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning to you all.
Good
Happy
morning,
Thursday.
everyone.
Happy Thursday.
Happy
Thank you.
Thursday. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Welcome to Richmond Transportation Planning Organization Executive Committee meeting here on March the 4th, believe it or not, March at 8:30. Thank you all for your time and your participation in our meetings today. Our statement regarding our virtual meeting was sent out in your packets, so therefore that will alleviate Mr. Parsons having to go through reading that. So we will now have our roll call and certification of quorum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Town of Ashland, Mr. Hodges.
Here.
Ms. Barnhart. Charles City County, Mr. Koda. Chesterfield County, Mr. Holland.
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning. Ms. Haley. Goochland County, Mr. Lumpkins. Ms. Lascolette. Hanover County, Mr. Peterson.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Mr. Davis. Henrico County, Ms. O'Bannon.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Thornton. New Kent County, Madam Chair, Ms. Page.
Here.
Mr. Tiller. Powhatan County, Mr. Williams.
Here.
Good morning, City of Richmond, Dr. Newbill.
Good morning. Here.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance, and you have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. The first item on the agenda is consideration of amendments to our action meeting agenda. I would take this opportunity now to ask if you have any changes, revisions, or additions. Hearing none, we will go to item 2, which is approval of our February 1st, 2021 Executive Committee meeting minutes. Are there any corrections?
Move for approval, Ms.
We have a second.
Peterson, move for approval.
Second, Mr. Hodges.
Thank you. Moved and second that we approve our meeting minutes for February the 4th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposition has the same opportunity. All right. Now, item 3 is we open for our public comment period. Have we received any emails, texts, or anyone present that would like to speak at this time from the public?
No, Madam Chair, no one's present this morning, and we have not received any comments for this meeting.
Okay, hearing none, our open public comment period is closed. Item 4, Chair's report. My report today is I am so excited here in New Kent County that we have opened a call center for the vaccine. All of us have gone through the trials and tribulations, but here in our little small county, we have opened our clinic, and yesterday we had our first New Kent vaccine clinic that came through our own call center. And so our residents are excited about that. This morning, I had no internet at home, so I followed school buses up the road. So we're trying to get our kids back in school safely, of course. And then the excitement of the House bill that passed for the widening of I-64, you know, I'm over the moon about that. So it is just an awesome day going on here in New Kent County. We had the opportunity last month to celebrate many of our African Americans that contributed to the Green versus the New Kent County School Board, with Dr. Green being a resident here. Also, opportunity for to celebrate Samuel Crump, who was our first African American Board of Supervisors meeting after Reconstruction, and William Beasley, who was our first African-American supervisor before Reconstruction. So we have had a busy time in New Kent, and of course, Colonial Downs has extended their hours, and so folk are getting out very safely, getting out and returning to the community. So with that being said, I will move on now and thanking all of you through this time of my chairmanship. And I know it's not over yet, but just thanking you for your patience and your mentorship as we travel this road of excitement through the Transportation Planning Organization. So at this time, item 5, we will have the Secretary's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to remind you that you have a few months left with us, so we have a lot of good work left to do.
Thank you.
Before I get into the items that are on the agenda, I did want to follow up. You had mentioned the revisions to the budget that included additional funds available for the I-64 corridor. And for those who haven't seen it, the final budget for the General Assembly this year added an item that, and I'll just read it, up to $93,100,000 shall be transferred to for improvements to the I-64 corridor as follows. 1, to provide any amounts necessary to complete the funding plan for the Hampton Roads Express Lanes. And then 2, any remaining amounts to improve Interstate 64 between exit 205 and exit 234 as determined by the Commonwealth Transportation Board. So the task that remains is to figure out what the amounts necessary are to complete the Hampton Roads Express Lanes so that we can then determine what's applicable to the I-64 corridor in New Kent, and then work to find any balance that is necessary to move that forward. So Madam Chair, we'll certainly be coordinating with you as we find out information, and I'd ask likewise if you hear anything from the CTB or VDOT to let us know so that we can make sure that we note that accordingly. And then the other item that was in the budget that I think is worth raising is there is, let me find the number. And Mr. Hodges will appreciate this. Up to $10 million shall be transferred for regional trails to support the planning, development, and construction of multi-use trails, with priority given by the board to developing new regional trails, to projects to improve connectivity of existing trail networks, and to geographic diversity in the use of such funds. And they are also setting up a policy working group to look at evaluation and recommending a prioritization process for identification of these new trail opportunities. And there's a handful of different agencies and organizations included there. So that's exciting. That's another brick in the wall for finding money for fall line and other trails of that nature. So
I'm almost as happy as Miss Page. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, 10 million is by no means enough to complete it, but it's another step forward. So I think that's something that CBTA especially should take note of and use as it develops its priorities for spending in the first 2 years. Unless there are any questions about that, I can move into the next item that I wanted to present, and that is just a quick update on Title VI and federal recertification. I believe Mr. Duran is on the line with us, but I had a call yesterday afternoon with folks from VDOT and central office to talk about our Title VI certification. We did a desktop analysis and submitted a wealth of information to illustrate what we've been doing in the past past 3 years essentially, to address Title VI issues and make sure that we are on the right track for addressing and providing Title VI information and opportunities for the public. And we are expecting findings from VDOT regarding our Title VI certification in the next few weeks. I don't exactly know the timing, but it should be soon. At which point we can share it with the board and make sure that we're all in understanding of what we need to do if they find anything that needs improvement. I think that the hope of staff is that the findings from this Title VI review will support us in our ongoing efforts to improve public engagement and transparency across the board in terms of the work we're doing and the opportunities for the general public to be involved. We also wanted to provide opportunities at the organizational level for potential employees, for partnerships with consultants and other technical assistance kind of work. So I think that the Title VI findings will be a big step towards helping to support us as we take those necessary measures. The other item is I think the second part of this is our federal recertification. As you recall, this was last done in 2017. And there were a few items that were highlighted in that recertification plan that we are required to address. And we've been doing what we can to make those changes and updates. And I'm going to be working closely with Mr. Duran over the next few months as he starts to do his desktop review of our operations. And then we are on track to actually have the certification itself in mid-August, and depending on where we are, that will either be a Zoom opportunity, or we may be able to distance in an office somewhere and talk face to face. But I'm expecting that to last a couple days, and we will certainly be doing everything we can to support Federal Highway's efforts as they review our operations. We have been in communication this past year about impacts from COVID and what that means to certification and how that will be assessed. So I believe I think the lines of communication are open, and we're talking freely with Federal Highways and VDOT in regards to these efforts. So that's an update for you. Once I know more information about the Title VI findings, I plan to prepare a report to bring to the full policy board. But at this point, I think it's just an information item. And I wanted it to be brought to your attention as the executive committee, just so we can think about the next few months and how we want to shape any communications or conversation about this issue. Are there any questions about this effort? I wasn't here in 2017, but I'm very familiar with the certification report. I know a number of you were involved with that, and if there's any other information that staff needs to know about, please let me know, and we can talk about that at a future time.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Parsons at this time? Again, thank you. Next, we will have the review of selected TPO agenda items, topics.
Yes, thank you very much. This is actually going to be a very short meeting. It was already going to be short, and then I learned yesterday in talking with Mr. Brule from Division of Rail and Public Transit that item B2, which is dealing with our FTA section 5310 grant applications endorsement. The recommendation is to move that to next month. And the reason there is good news is that there may be additional stimulus funds that may be available for our region to more fully fund some of the 5310 applications. So that is still being ironed out in terms of the exact amounts and how it would be distributed. But Mr. Brule has asked that we delay the endorsement of those projects so that we can more fully reflect the actual funding that's available. It won't impact the organizations getting their funds, that wouldn't happen until later this summer or early fall anyway. So I think the delay of a month is not harmful to any of our processes or procedures in terms of the FTA 5310 program. Other than that, the other new business item is a transfer request dealing with our RSTP funds. And that is in response to a need for additional funds for the Port of Virginia to further develop the gate improvements and drop lot, which is outside of the fence at the port and at the Richmond Marine Terminal. And this will allow, we've talked about it, I believe, a couple times in the past. This will allow haulers to drop their shipments after hours, so that they don't have to idle on the side of the road or make other necessary plans. They can drop their containers outside the gate in a secure location, and they can be taken in upon start of business the following day. So this is another step, and Mr. Bushing on staff is going to be able to provide more details in regards to where the transfers are coming from. We are going to have other than the current work efforts and our work status report that we usually discuss, Barbara Jaycox on staff is going to provide a legislative update based on her involvement with the state chapter of the American Planning Association and the other bills and interesting items that have happened in General Assembly this year. So that'll be an update under the Secretary's report. We'll ask Barb to take a few minutes and just provide some background on mostly transportation related actions, but some other more general planning items too. And we can certainly dive into more detail as needed, depending on what the response of the board is. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward agenda. We've got our transportation agency updates, future meeting topics, and looking ahead to next month.
Okay, well, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peterson?
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Parsons a question. This is just probably my own ignorance. The Vision Zero work group that's been involved, what is that?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. It's a work group looked at reducing traffic fatalities and serious incidents. And this is something that is a national effort. Vision Zero is kind of the brand of it. And our work group is named that due to the national nature of it. Vision Zero is something that has been embraced by the city of Richmond, and they have an active program led by Mike Sawyer. And what we are doing now is to take those ideals in reducing fatalities and serious incidents and start to try and see if there's an opportunity to talk about it regionally, because I think the regional nature of our organization allows for broader policy discussions and not as maybe to be more theoretical in terms of long-term future impacts rather than more political. And we have an active group that has membership from most of our member localities, including Chesterfield, Henrico, and I believe Hanover. I believe Joe is on it as well. And we are talking about, right now, it's about data. So we are not at the point where anyone is comfortable talking about regional policy for this type of activity, but we are talking about what safety data is out there and available for each of our member jurisdictions to make decisions locally. And we have, I think we started this at the right time this past summer. We are in discussions right now with VDOT to get some free work through one of their on-call consultants to develop a regional data assessment and action plan for how to think about traffic fatalities and where some hotspots might be around the region. So that scope is, I believe it's finalized for the consultant to start on, but we are looking forward to starting that, the data collection and everything for the plan in earnest over the next few months. I'm expecting that'll take probably 6 to 9 months to complete. And then the idea is then we can use that once we actually know where the issues are to start talking about whether it makes sense to talk about policy or regional coordination on issues like this related to traffic and safety.
Thank you. I just didn't have a clue what it was. So now I know a little more.
And Madam Chair, I think it makes sense once VDOT has started on that planning process to have an update or a presentation to the board in maybe April or May regarding what the planning effort is and how we can get people engaged.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions or discussions? I can tell you with Vision Zero, New Kent would indeed love to be invited to the table. Item 7, which is other business, do we have from our members any comments at this time? Hearing none. Our next meeting of our executive committee will be on April the 1st. And if all hearts and minds are clear, as they say, and we have no other discussion, and I'm hearing none, this meeting will stand adjourned and we will meet back at 9:30 for our policy board meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.